Today we're going to talk about how to put together your backwash unit. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you've received all of the parts. You will have a bed, a shampoo bowl, your drain assembly, including your drain hose and neck pillow, and vacuum breaker holder, otherwise known as the receiver plate, as well as your faucet set. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the O-mount from the bed. In order to do this, just use a Phillips head screwdriver, and I'm just going to do this. I've already loosened them, so I'll just do it by hand. Just remove these screws so you can remove the access panel on the back. Keep in mind this hole is not built for placing the hoses through it. It is simply to make it easier for you to remove. So in order to remove the O-mount, here I have a separate O-mount unit for you so you can see. These are the posts that you'll be removing the screw and washer from. And you will just do that by using your 10mm socket just right underneath. So once you have those taken off, then you'll be ready for your next step. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is add our drain to our shampoo bowl by placing this gasket directly on the drain, and we're going to slide it underneath our shampoo bowl very carefully and pull it up into place. Add the next gasket and then secure it with the white piece. You want to make sure that this goes on accurately. If you strip the threading on your drain, it will cause your bowl to leak. And the next part will be the finishing part. Just add the small gasket and then screw that directly on there. And I just want to point out that we have our bowl on a cardboard piece today. We recommend using a rug or a soft carpet just to save your bowl from cracks and breakage. The next thing we're going to do, since we've already unscrewed the washers and screws from the O-mount, you can just slide that directly off of your backwash unit and place that onto the bowl. You're going to line that up with these little holes and make sure that the springs, which is how you adjust your bowl for tilting, you want to make sure that the springs are facing the back of the bowl. So the part with the opening for your customer's neck will be on the front side. So you just push this down, and then you can tighten them using a 10mm extended socket. You want to be careful not to screw these in too tightly, but they do need to be all the way into the bowl. I do quickly want to tell you, while we have this disassembled from the bed, if you need to adjust the tightness of your bowl when you are tilting it, you can do so by adjusting these screws right here on top of the springs. So if you need to make it so that it moves easier, just simply loosen these screws. If you need to make it tighter so it doesn't move as much, just tighten them up. So to make sure that this is secure to the bowl, very carefully lift up on the O-mount itself. And this one is secure, so we're ready to attach it back to our bed. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is attach our drain hose simply by sliding this piece over the white part of your drain assembly and then securing it with the clamp. And now we are ready to put our bowl back on our bed. Now let's get our assistant out here to help us. Miss Jackie, you want to make sure you have a buddy to help you lift the shampoo bowl. The last thing you want to do after all of that hard work is drop it. Perfect. Thanks, Jackie. Okay, so to fasten these, we're just going to use the washers and screws by accessing it through the back panel right here, right on these holes, just like we were shown before. If you would like, there is a bar across the bottom of the bed. And you're welcome to use that to secure it to your floor if you wish. You will need to provide the screws. Okay. Let's move on to the faucets. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is attach your vacuum breaker holder or receiver plate to the opening on your bowl. And you just do this by lining this up with the square and just slide that underneath. Now underneath the unit, we're going to turn that to the side. You need to make sure that's sideways, otherwise your vacuum breaker won't have any place to go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is remove this little window portion. And I'm just going to use my fingernails to pop this off. Might even be easier if you do this before you attach it to the bowl. And this is where our vacuum breaker is going to go. Now we're ready to put in our vacuum breaker. The first thing I'm going to do is add the hair trap to the drain. That way if we drop our screws, they don't go all the way down. So I just want to quickly point out these arrows on the vacuum breaker. The arrow pointing up will be for your crossover hose because that's where the water comes in. The arrow pointing down will be for your drain, or your sprayer rather, because that's where the water will come out. So you simply push this in here. It does not matter which way they go, as long as they are both in here and secured with your screws. Now to conserve on time, I'm only going to tighten these with my hand, but you will need to tighten these up with pliers or a wrench to make sure that they are all the way tightened so that you don't have any leaks. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is add our faucet. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is remove the gold piece. And then you're going to remove this silver bracket. You just slide it off the pole and off of the hoses. Be sure to keep all of these other pieces intact, as they are already where they need to be. And you're just going to slide the hoses through the circular hole of your bowl. And then line up the faucet like you need it to be. Alright, so now we're just going to replace this brace. Just slide it around the hoses. And you just want to make sure this hole goes back up to this screw. I'm just going to hold that in place while you replace the gold piece. Now again, I'm tightening these up by hand just to save time for the video, but you'll need to get these as tight as possible without cracking your shampoo bowl to make sure there are no leaks. When your plumber is hooking this up, we do recommend using plumber's tape. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is add the crossover hose. So you're just going to screw this in to the short hose coming from your faucet. And then the other side will go into our up arrow and the vacuum breaker. Next thing we're going to do is add our sprayer. What we're going to do is just slide that directly through your vacuum breaker holder or receiver plate. And now this hose will go into the arrow pointing down on your vacuum breaker. That's where the water will come out. Okay. The only things left to do will be to hook up your hot and cold water to your water supply. And then put the finishing touches on your bowl. So let's put on our neck rest and just simply slide this over your bowl. The thicker part we feel like should go on top just because it's more comfortable for your customer. You also have your drain stopper. I do want to quickly mention that the vacuum breaker, please do not turn this. It will break the vacuum breaker and that is not covered under warranty.